Hello, everyone. Chief Meteorologist Matt-Holiner. Well, the daytime hours today are going to be pretty quiet across Iowa, but by the time we get to the evening hours, things are going to get stormy for the central and western part of the state. So let's walk you through hour by hour, starting at 8 a.m. this morning, showing a few isolated light showers around Burlington, Des Moines, but nothing significant. Nothing's going to slow down the morning commute. We jump ahead into the afternoon and notice still not much going on. Maybe a few sprinkles around the Quad Cities. That's a possibility, but still nothing big. So when do things get interesting? I think it's about 7 o'clock this evening. That's when the chance for storms begins, and unfortunately, yes, a small chance for some severe storms as well. See a little shade of yellow starting to show up. That's indicating where a thunderstorm is going to be popping up. Now, most of the storms that pop up are going to be, shall we say, weak thunderstorms, generic thunderstorms. Now, any thunderstorm can produce heavy rain and lightning. I think that's going to be common in the central and western part of the state. But what we're concerned about is a couple of storms overachieving and producing some damaging wind and some hail. All right, so there's 7 o'clock. Let's go in 2-hour increments now. 9 o'clock, notice a little bit more activity showing up. And notice that those green dots are more likely those general thunderstorms. See those shades of orange? That's where we're concerned that some severe storms could be popping up. 11 o'clock. Notice the activity kind of starts closer to the Nebraska-Iowa border and then starts to push to the east. So as we go later into the night, places like Mason City, Waterloo, you have a better chance of getting into the thunderstorms and, yes, possibly some severe storms. Meanwhile, the threat will be starting to die down around the Sioux City area, for example. All right, now we're jumping ahead to 1 a.m. and still seeing those shades of orange popping up, still indicating the potential for some stronger storms. But we go ahead to 3 a.m. and notice that we're not seeing those shades of orange anymore. So the severe threat ends at 3 a.m. So 7 o'clock this evening until 3 a.m. And by the way, notice the activity is still pushing to the east. And so finally, the chance of rain going up for places like the Quad Cities. In fact, check out 8 a.m. tomorrow morning. Now, actually, I think a lot of this day is going to end up being dry, but the Quad Cities, I think like a wet morning commute for you Wednesday morning. And I do think there could be some thunderstorms, not severe storms, but could there be some rumbles of thunder, some flashes of lightning, some heavy rain coming down to slow down that morning commute? That is a possibility for the Quad Cities tomorrow morning. So this is a cold front. It's causing all this stormy activity. So look what happens as we go into the afternoon on Wednesday. It gets cold enough that we're talking about another rain-snow mix of the western and central part of the state. In the early afternoon, pushing in along the Iowa-Nebraska border, so Sioux City, your opportunity for a rain-snow mix begins in the early afternoon. Notice it's just showers left over for the eastern part of the state. By the late afternoon, I think it's still all rain for the eastern part of the state, still too warm for that rain-snow mix, but places like Mason City, you move into that rain-snow mix. And eventually the eastern part of the state will be cooling down and you'll get an opportunity for that rain-snow mix as well. But let's focus on the severe threat for this evening. So we're under the marginal and slight risk. If you're in that shade of yellow, that's a slight risk. That's level 2 out of 5 of the 5 categories of severe weather. Places like Waterloo, for example, you're right on the edge of that level 1, level 2. Mason City, you're in the level 1 threat, marginal risk. And Sioux City, you're right on the line of that level 1 threat. So this isn't saying that severe storms are likely tonight, but they are possible, and they're most likely in that shade of yellow. But anywhere in the green or yellow, the chance is there for severe storms in those Quad Cities. You're not included. You'll probably see some thunderstorms very late tonight, early tomorrow morning, but not in a chance for severe storms. So what's the worst case scenario? That's always the question. Well, fortunately, the greatest severe threat is actually going to stay to our south in Nebraska and down into Kansas. And actually, there's a possibility of tornadoes there. For us, though, not worried about tornadoes. What we could see, though, what I'm most concerned about is some hail. Not going to be giant hail, but it is possible that a couple storms could produce some quarter-size hail, which is enough to leave some dents in your car and cause some minor roof damage. The wind threat looks smaller. The worst case, I think we could see some wind gusts up to 50 miles per hour. More likely, wind gusts up to 40 miles per hour, but perhaps if the storm overachieves, we're talking about wind gusts up to 50 miles per hour. Not worried about flooding. If you get right under a thunderstorm, maybe you could pick up a quick inch of rain, but that won't cause flooding. Finally, let's finish by talking about temperatures, because there's going to be some variation. You can see why there's a severe threat in the western and central part of the state where it's going to be warmer versus the eastern part of the state. That said, even Mason City, we're going to see our temperatures warm during the evening hours. So that's why the severe threat actually comes in during the evening hours, even though during the day only a high of 40 in Mesa City, 43 in Waterloo, 64, check it out, in Omaha. Windy across the entire state, even if we don't see those damaging wind gusts. We're talking about wind gusts 30, 35 miles per hour, and again, during the evening hours, perhaps in a few places seeing some gusts around 50 miles per hour. Tonight, you can see that variation in temperatures, that colder air coming into the western part of the state, a low of 34 in Sioux City, but only cooling down to around 43 in Davenport. And then we're going to flip-flop tomorrow across the state. Look at the warm temperatures in the east. The front isn't going to quite make it until the late afternoon, so we're going to hit 62 in the Quad Cities, 53 in Waterloo, but check it out, just a high of 40 in Sioux City. And tomorrow, just breezy in the eastern part of the state, but quite windy in the western part of the state, gusts 30, 35 miles per hour, so a significant wind chill factor. It's only going to feel like the 30s in Sioux City.